Hey there, hi there, and welcome in. I am Tappinator. You are the Tappers, and this is... Give me a second. And this is BioShock. Thank you so much for coming in, hanging out, having a good time, seeing what we're up to. Oh, I gotta go back one more time. Darn. Alright, now we're good. Always one more thing. Alright. Thank you so much for coming back. We have just killed Andrew Ryan. We learned that Atlas was Frank Fontaine all along. And now Tenenbaum is convincing us to go turn ourselves into a Big Daddy. So I'm sure that this can only go well. Let us continue. Deep under rapture. All right, let me make sure I'm watching myself. Because if I'm not watching myself, how will anybody else watch me? Boom. Locked in. Solid. All right, what we're doing. We got that power to the peeper there. You need to gather pheromone samples. Okay. We're gonna go Big Daddy fighting.
A rapture reminder. We all have goals to say, and
No active goal. Become a Big Daddy. Sound like a Big Daddy. Look to find a Big Daddy helmet. Smell. Find 3 Big Daddy pheromone samples. In order to smell like a Big Daddy, you'll need to find 3 Big Daddy pheromone samples. These can be found by searching the Little Wonders educational facility. Little Wonders it is.
What's the matter, Mary? You look like you would.
I feel great. I'm dizzy, I'm nauseous, and sometimes I'm even seeing things that aren't there.
What's the matter, scientist? It ain't here, Jim. Every day there's less and less.
Sweet. Oh. Can I not get up in here? Oh, there's a little sister here. Well, this isn't good for me. I need healing. Do a quick. Well, you know what? We're not even that far in here. Can I scoot by you guys? No. Yep. All I needed was one shot on me. That's what I thought. All right. Napalm.
You play the hey kid, you're just too slice to smell. Roll on back to Mother Goose now, or everything's gonna go busto.
No more $86 for you. And time to rescue this child.
No.
There, little child. You little creepy golem child. You are welcome.
Thank you.
And now we'll save after saving the child.
Thank you.
Damn, I died. I am a man who keeps dying. We're in a little death loop here. Glue. Let's see, I need more machine gun ammo. It's not what I need. No active goal. Little Wonders Educational Facility. Got it. How do I get to the Little Wonders Education Facility, though? That's the question. That's the $100 question. Look at this squid. Big squid. Because here's the Little Wonder Educational Facility.
What's the matter, Mary? You look like you.
Bacteria on micro.
Well, just stay loaded. Come on. There we go.
Time for bed, Mr. B.
Can I not go through this door? I mean, this window here? Not able to go through this window? Aha. Now I can. Red light. Sweet. We're getting some ammo back. Give me the shotgun shells. I need every last bit of ammunition. Where is... Oh, let's heal. Where's the radar? Where's their camera? I don't see it. I hear it. What's in here? Oh, this looks terrifying. My goodness. With a fish? Oh, we're all out of Eve? Oh my goodness. We're in big danger. Ooh. This guy did not end well. Hidey hole. Find a hole, hide in there.
Well. This is quite incredible.
Where is the weird guy? Sweet, an Eve hypo. Exactly what I wanted. Ooh, more golden film reels. You've unlocked an episode of the director's commentary. Not right now. We'll do it when we're done. We'll play all the director's commentary. We'll have a nice little sit down and listen to it. Kind of excited.
You're crawling! You're sick!
All right, goodbye. Ooh, one Big Daddy pheromone
I can
sample.
only be glad I am nowhere near you and that awful stink. Why the little ones
Stinky
are drawn to the
stinkies.
smell of those pheromones is beyond anything I can understand.
Welcome. Feel your craving, but the thing is about you.
Oh, I hope there's a way up here. Damn it, there isn't. Ah, I was looking for this one earlier. I was gonna go up. Alright, let's see what we got available to us. First thing you need to do is go right. Then left. Okay. Let's go up here. Hey, that worked. And if it works, it works. Haha! Wow, it was a pretty good one. We used multiple, like, sized tubes here.
Welcome to the circus of value. Come back when you get some money, buddy.
Oh, why did it just graphical issue there? Alright, that looks better. Terrifying for a second. No Big Daddy pheromone over here? This is where it was. Glue. We're gonna eat some glue. No, we're using it for crafting, not chomping.
Like the sound of that.
What happened?
Not sanitary in here. Filthy. Come. Let me take
Potato chip. Oh, okay. Oh, good for Big Daddy, bad for like a normal person. Hell yeah, potato chips.
When flu season comes around, yeah, I'll give him a shot.
Pavlovin. All right, nothing else for me in here. All right, hacking time. Do you think we can hack it? Oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this one. All right, here we go. Now we're hacking away. Oh boy, this looks bad. All right, I think we have it. I think we're gonna be able to get there, no problem. Hey, welcome in, Alonzo. How you doing? Swap gene upgrades. I think we're good on gene upgrades right now. Ooh, a little sample. New tonic, safe cracker 2. Cracker safe even faster. Are your enemies trying to lock away what's rightfully yours? Don't let them keep your hard-earned goods. Get them back with the new safe cracker 2. Hack Smart wants you to get what's coming to you. Ah, the visions. The visions. Oh, it's all scrambly. Ugh, dresses in a freezer? That's horrible. Ooh, that was rough. I got another Big Daddy sound. Get him! Get him! Nice. Security bot, research progress. Oh, are you gonna go get another little sister? We'll see what he does. Let's watch him for a second. Come on, Big Daddy, are you gonna go get a little sister? so I can save her as well. Get the slug be gone going. Don't mind me. Just waiting. Oh, nope, no little sister. Bummer. Hey, I gotta go use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. I've returned. Much relieved. Alright, we need one more pheromone pack. Do you have a little sister? Nope, no little sister for him. That's fine. Alright, I think we're going to the main hall now. Ooh, there it is. That's the last one we needed.
A good start. Now you need only to find the bodysuit and the voice box from the other labs, and you will be a proper brute.
A proper
Get
brute.
moving.
Shame things turned out this way, kid.
What, that I'm succeeding?
Run the table in this place. Now there's nothing left for you.
Shut up, Frank.
But a long, cold nothing.
Don't mind if I have a little extra Big Daddy smell to me. A little of that extra stinky stank. Alright, now where we're going? Dude, they make... Ew. Ew, I don't like how she delivered Amazing Grace. That was presumptive. Suggestive at a minimum.
Bacteria are micro.
Oops. I want the one that goes from right to left. Haha, here it is. Only one more up and down is what I need. Here it is. Yoink. Yay.
The parasite hates three things: free market,
The parasite.
free will, and free men.
Sounds like propaganda to me. Ugh. Oh, I hear a little sister. Where is she? Where's little sister? Is she behind the door? What's in here? Gotta use a sink.
Fontaine is dead.
Fontaine is
Bad
dead.
for Fontaine. Good for
Fontaine is
Sir John.
not dead. He's alive,
I want to
actually.
get for a bit. Did Mr. Ryan get hungry for me? Tenenbaum gone? Fontaine gone?
Some
Sir John,
water.
only one who know all about little sister. Like I said, it is very good for Sir John.
Here is where you be
Oh, no.
finding the voice box to have sound like one of those big daddy repulsive creatures.
Hacking time. We ain't no hack, but we'll hack it anyways. We'll hack it anytime. What? I need a right. Wow, okay, that was close. We're not out of the woods yet. Where's a diagonal? I mean a sideways. There we go. Very close. That wants me to go in there immediately. I think I'll go over here real quick. See if we find anything else. Come on, buddy, let's go. Dude, it's always good to have a Rosie on your team. New engineering tonic alarm expert 2.
Is a two-way street.
4 fewer alarm tiles when hacking. That's really good.
Parade, and you're first in line.
Ew. I don't like that. Are you doing that to my throat?
Look at you.
Gross.
We will make Big Daddy out of you yet, I think.
Blah, blah,
There's
blah.
only
Big
one
Daddy
piece
sounds.
missing, the bodysuit. Go to fail-safe armored escort.
Ooh. I think I can hack this one. Shit, I need a sideways. There's no up? Oh my goodness. I need a right piece. Where's a right piece? Right and up. Was there not enough here for me to do what I needed to do? There was no writing up piece. Let's try that again. There we go. Now invention time. Auto hack tool's pretty good. Always like to have at least one on me. Oh, why am I dumb? Well, let's use these for a bit then.
I'm fine! Come on, get up! What's the matter with you?
Oh man, this dude just hit me with a single wrench hit and killed me. My goodness, rude.
You can knock Ryan all you want, but the old man, bingo on one point of fact. You won't even walk till somebody says go.
Got him. Armored escorts. Don't mind if I do. Another decontamination process. Got him. That's a good action shot.
Where did that guy go? I can control myself. I can. That's
Blah.
all you got. You're only making this hard for us both.
Good job. Goodbye, Splicer. Yes, splicey, dicey boy. Are there any more in here? I wish you would just let me have them. Because they're already deactivated, right? One more up and down would be perfect. Aha, I already have the one I need in my hand. Isn't that fun when that happens? When they give you the one you want? Here it is. Boink. Good enough. That's the biggest problem with the armor-piercing rounds, is that they are,
Ain't nothing here for you but tears.
tears. Hacker's Delight 3, sweet. Every time you hack something, you gain a large amount of health and Eve. Napalm next to fire, as a classic would have it. Let's do a quick look around before we grab the Rosie. We'll do a ring around. Alright, bop. Big Daddy helmet.
Yeah, it makes a good start. Now you go to find the bodysuit and the parachute.
Oh, my sight's gonna be worse now. Like I'm just looking through a fishbowl.
This is where you find bodies.
You know, you should be thanking me. I brought you here. I showed you who you are. Nobody never told you nothing but lies till I come
Nobody
along.
told you nothing but lies.
Bienvenido al amor.
Find big body suit completed.
Ah, look at you. You look just the same as those. Ah, what things we have done. What things. Now the boots.
Oh, look, the Nazi scientist is having regret. Too little, too late, senorita. Got 2 shotgun shells behind a table. Hell yeah. What's in here?
The boots. I was sure the boots would be here.
God damn it. The big daddy boots need to be shipped here, not a damn diaper. What kind of idiot is Ryan hiring nowadays? This kind of bullshit never happened on the front page.
Why can't I hack this? There we go. My goodness. I was trying to hack it. I was pressing hack with my little hacking fingers, and they just weren't pressing. All right, let's see what we got cooking here. Boink. Sweet. Ooh, easy. Nice and easy. All right, let's keep moving up. Actually, I like the wiggly ones better. Wiggly ones are best. Oh, we got plenty. A wiggly into a tight into an open. The pressure valve of that is going to be furious. Sweet. Oh, that's like deep in there. Ouch. Nothing in the filing cabinets. This was just that heavily guarded for no apparent reason. Sweet. Love to see it. We got the gloves, but not the boots. Do we need to invent anything right now? Oh, I can invent a hacking tool. An auto hacker. Sweet. What's this diary say?
Mega terrible stinker. Very smelly. Maybe something can be done. But the little sisters seem to like the odor. Now we have to find the recruits. You become Big Daddy, it's a one-way street.
Where is he?
But
I heard the little
Ryan
sister.
says, don't worry. Recruits will be no problem. That's Ryan. He's a good guy.
There you go. Rosy loot almost always contains rare invention materials. Sweet. And now for the little sister. Ah, sweet. That should be enough. No, I wanted the little sister, not the Rosie. Alright, whatever. Atlas is Frank Fontaine. The one and the only.
Welcome to the circus of value.
Yeah, I could use a heal.
Fontaine's scary son of a bitch. But Ryan cheap son of a bitch. You can no reuse protector suit. Take a man and grab the skin and organs straight into suit. Otherwise your suit not work. Ryan say Big Daddy too expensive. Ryan can go suck a egg.
Oh, shit. Nice. Don't worry, you're safe now, little sister. You shall be rescued and returned to the orphanage. Hip hip cheerio, back to underwater orphanage for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for helping me.
Sweet. Is there more children that I have to save? Little sister research bonus, small increase to max health and Eve. Sweet. I like increased health and Eve. Wait, where am I supposed to go right now? To look like a Big Daddy, you'll need an unused pair of boots. Some Big Daddy boots were misshipped to Mendel Memorial Library. Sweet. To the library. La biblioteca es rojo. The library is red. Pistol rounds. We've been here before. Sweet. But we didn't find any boots before? Sweet. Now I'm clomping and stomping.
Now this is a Big Daddy. Are you ready?
Yes.
Now go to the Little Sister vent by the proving ground.
I got Rapture now. I've got the Atom now. You think that pill suit's even half enough to put the scare in me?
So much, Frank. You're terrified. You brought a monster into Rapture, and I'm taking over.
Your life, your family, they're a fairy tale, kid. No more real than something you read about in the Saturday Evening Post. Poor bastard. A motherless freak, whipped up in a half-baked science experiment.
You need to bring them out of hiding, and then they'll let you in the door. Go on, hit the vent with your wrench.
Let's go, little sister.
Und bitte. It would mean very much to me if you will be gentle with the girl.
Of course.
Mein kleines Mädchen.
Go ahead, little sister. We're gonna go collect some Atom for you. Happy Atom time. You have not rescued or harvested all the little sisters on this deck. You need Atom from them to become more powerful. It will be very difficult to survive without getting more Atom. What? Well, then we need the last little sister.
Parasite, don't be a friend of Atlas.
Can we tell where the little sister is? Well, that's where the Eve is. We're right here. Where's the last little sister? And I wish it showed you where they were. Maybe optimize eugenics next to the live subject testing. I want to get the last one. No, this isn't it.
The parasite eats three things: 3 minds, 3 wills, and 3 men.
I thought I've saved all the ones that I've found so far. Well, I did save all the ones I found so far. Just haven't found all of them, I guess. So this is where I came in from. All right, now we're looking for a little sister. Where, oh, where could it be? Little sister, I have to remove a slug from you. Give me your money. Should I buy anything? Health upgrade's pretty good. We'll do health and Eve. Ooh, my tummy. We'll do Incinerate 3 to replace Incinerate 2. That's good. That is enough. Right now we're taking the left turn approach. Searching for any and all left turns. Looking for a little sister. Ouch. Oh, my stomach is upsetting with me. Very good. This man's living up on that poppy juice.
Everyone's scared now. Everyone needs Adam. More than little sisters can make. Good news is warming
I heard it.
of corpses. Suchong knows a way to recycle Adam from corpses, but can't send a little sister out to street unprotected.
No, you need little sisters protected.
Hurry, Mr. Bubbles.
Alright. Save. Alright, I need to use the restroom again. Sorry for the inconvenience. But I will be right back. All right, let's beat the crap out of this Big Daddy. Save the last child.
No.
One more little sister for the orphanage. Goodbye, little sister.
It is a wounded well.
Thank you, mister.
How can I
Thank you.
I send another little one with a token of our appreciation.
Oh, hell yeah, tokens. Where's the Eve station? Over there. Where am I? I'm over here. Now where am I? Haha. Alright, goodbye, little sister.
Time for a nap, sweet angel.
Weird child. Aha. 200 Atom. Don't mind if I do. Anything I wanted from here? Not really. Greatly reduces prices in vending machines. Sure. Sweet. All right, now I'm ready to go with the little sister. Where do I go with the little sister? That feels like the wrong way.
What's the matter, Frank? It's this thinning hair, Jim. Every day there's less and less.
Less and less hair.
It's in your jeans.
Aha.
What is the greatest lie ever created?
Yeah. Now we're ready to keep on going. Sure, the boys in Rapture's labs can make it hack-proof, but that don't mean we ain't gonna hack it, Pablo Navarro. Sure, you can build a wall, we'll just build a
The
ladder.
little ones will lead you to Fontaine,
Don't be a
but you
slowpoke,
must
mister.
protect them.
Angels don't wait for slowpokes.
Where you at, little sister?
It's been a long road. You don't even remember most of it. Put you on a sub when you were just a sprout.
Hurry, Mr. Bubbles.
A sprout. Vita chamber for me. You invent.
Hurry, Mr. B.
Okay, I'm coming.
Dancing in the sky.
Dancing in the sky.
Time to go, Mr.
All right, little sister, I'm out here with you.
Hop, hop, Mr. B. No
Hop,
time to
hop.
waste.
I really wound you up with that wife and child bit. Oh,
Don't
me
be a
poor
slowpoke,
Moira. I
Me Moira.
baby Patrick. answer.
Hurry, Mr. Bubbles.
Dude, I'm right here with you. Oh no, does her health not come back? Like at all or ever?
Time to go, Mr. B. Hurry, Mr. B.
I know, I just auto hack that.
I can see the angel dancing in the sky.
Get over here, child.
Look, Mr. Bubbles.
Even though they are physically free as they move together, Chung's mental conditioning still holds them to their terrible past. For sins such as this can never atone.
Hurry, Mr. B.
I just feel like they're coming. So I will release the bees.
Hurry, Mr. B. He left.
Nice. Get him. Give me your money. Sweet.
When we do hurry, it's very so nasty.
Oh, where are you? Child. My goodness.
Hurry, Mr. B. I can see the angel.
Wait, why does it want me to go this way?
dancing in the sky.
Oh, now it wants me to go with her. Okay.
Hurry, Mr. Bubbles.
All right, let's hack this. Sweet. All right, let's see. If I can get one more horizontal, I think I got this. Here we go. Almost tricked myself. What? Here it is. Wow. Wow. That was a little hard.
Don't be a slowpoke, Mr. B. Angels don't wait for slowpokes.
Dude, I'm waiting for you, little sister.
Watch out! Protected their harvesting will draw the attention of the structure.
No time to wait.
Wow, that was great. All right, I need this one. Looks like we got some company.
Dancing in the
What?
Youth with other very vulnerable as any child. The little
Dude,
ones
she got
fall,
hit
you can
once
call
and
for
went
another
down.
intervention. But to lose even one is a sin.
I gotta hit the thing. So many alarms. The alarms are rolling. Come on, little sister. It's okay.
Hurry! The harvesting will draw the attention of the splicer.
Got him. Yeah, you're just stabbing him, so he's dead. Oh, we got a runner. She's running. Oh, here you are, child.
Dream time, Mr.
Ignore the lies of Atlas and his parasites.
I wasn't trying to hurt her. She was running right into a frickin' whatchamacallit. This one. I don't have the pieces I need for this. I don't have a right piece. Nope. Whatever.
And another little one.
I like how she just gives me a bunch of little sisters. Dude, they die so quick, though.
Hurry, Mr. B.
I've got no Eve.
Only the little ones can open these doors.
Hurry, Mr.
We must
B.
protect them.
I can sense
That's not what I wanted. Oh, I survived that. Unbelievable. Nice.
dancing in the sky.
That was difficult. Where you at, little sister? kisses.
What I was
Angel kisses.
never spliced up once the whole time I was down here in this aquarium. Figured it was bad to mix business with
In this
pleasure.
aquarium. Fair.
Forget all the nose candy and floor polish I've been wasting time with. This stuff is the mother's milk.
I'm ready for dream time, Mr. B.
Oh, here you are.
Slowpoke, Mr. B. Angels don't wait for Slowpoke.
Hurry up. I'm waiting on you, child. Alright, thank you. Let's go.
I'm ready for dream time, Mr. B. Time to go, Mr. B. Hop, hop, Mr. B.
Go, little sister. Come on. Go faster, you frickin' weird golem creature.
Hurry,
Come on, little
hurry,
one.
Mr. Bubbles.
Let's go stab your friends. That's a bigger fish. That's a big old grouper, my goodness.
I'm ready for dream time, Mr. B. Don't be a slowpoke, Mr. B. Angels don't wait for slowpokes.
Ooh, sweet, that one actually super well. Sweet. I need another one. One more, please. Oh, actually, I don't need one more. I just need downs now. Nailed it.
Time to go, hurry, Mr. B. I can see the angels
Where are you, child?
dancing in the sky. Hurry, Mr. B. I can see the angels
Child, I'm here.
in the sky.
Where is the child?
Hurry, Mr. B.
Oh, are you done here?
Waiting for our kisses. Hurry,
For
Mr.
our
B.
kisses? I'm here.
Angels.
Go play with your friend.
Time to go, Mr. B.
I'm here with you.
Hurry, Mr. B.
Dude, I'm right here.
Angels are waiting for our kisses.
I wonder if angels are waiting for our kisses.
Hurry, hurry,
Keep
Mr.
an eye
Bubbles.
opening for this slicer.
Hop, hop, Mr. B. No time to waste. Hop, hop, Mr. B. No time to waste.
A lot going on that one.
Don't be a slowpoke. Angels don't wait.
Carry on, child. Go faster, please.
Hurry, Mr. B.
If you would kindly hurry the fuck up.
In the sky.
Are you doing what you need to do?
Don't be a slowpoke, Mr. B. Angels don't wait for slowpokes.
Okay, child. Do we have to ring around the rosy on this one again?
Don't be a slowpoke, Mr. B.
I hate her. That's enough of that.
Wait for slowpokes. Hop, hop, Mr. B. No time to waste.
Yo, these big daddies require a raise if they have to deal with that all the time.
Hurry, Mr. B. I can see angels
Come on.
dancing in the sky.
I'm trying to move. I'm not able to move very much here. All right.
Hurry, Mr. B. I can see the angel.
Better for the
dancing in
girls to be
sky.
with you.
Hurry,
Better
Mr. B.
with you than alone.
Angels
Alone in the crawling darkness.
The crawling darkness. That sounds pretty metal, actually. Oh, that looks like fire. Be careful, little
Hurry,
girl.
Mr. B. I can see the angels dancing in the sky.
Ha! That might be plenty for the working scrubs and the pencil pushers, but I need more. More! I want to slice!
Dude, this guy's gonna take all the drugs. Super drugs.
Fontaine is nearby. You are reaching closer now.
Don't be a slowpoke.
Sweet. Gene Bank.
Wait for slowpokes.
Welcome to the circus.
Oh, and this is pre-hack? Perfect.
Tell your cravings that the circus of value.
Boom, just like that.
Welcome.
Now they're $12. Fantastic.
Come back when you get some money, buddy. Welcome to the circus of value. Come back when you get some money, buddy.
Sweet.
There. You must use the needle of the little sister to drain Fontaine of his Adam. It is the only way to defeat him.
All right.
Take this. Stick it in the bad man.
Stick it in the bad man.
Fontaine, wait
Gladly.
above. There will be no going back from here. Make sure you are ready to face the force beyond.
I am ready. We're as maxed out on health as Eve as we're ever gonna be. Fontaine, I'm coming for your ass. Yeah, con man. You made me kill my dad. To be fair, my dad was
I
also
remember
terrible.
when me and the crowd put you in that sub. You were no more than 2. You were my ace in the hole,
And here I am.
but you were also
20-something.
the closest thing I ever had to a son.
Frank,
And that's
wrong.
why this hurts. Betrayal, kid. Life ain't strictly business.
Fontaine. Of Fontaine Industries. Let's take him out. Ooh, what's over here? Find Fontaine. I wonder where he is.
Go! Go now! Hit him with the needle!
Oh, we're gonna have to needle him. One needling for you. Where'd he go?
my breath. And I'm gonna bury you.
Where is he?
Oh, their little eggs.
Where's Fontaine?
Go! Go now! Hit him with the needle!
Oh, he's back in his thing. Whoops. I guess I missed that time. I didn't realize he was back in his spot.
You little...
Look at this fire boy. Think he can just beat me with some inferno?
You think you got a shot at this?
I got a shot at it.
Start it.
Stabby stabbies. No more Adam for you, Fontaine.
I got more than enough mugs to watch my back while I recharge.
Need a minute.
No problem. Wreckin' Fontaine.
Come and get it!
Oh, I should take a picture of Fontaine. I didn't even think about that. Oh, no subject? Bummer. Burn, Fontaine, burn. A burny, burning, burn, Fontaine, burn. A burny, burning.
Good money for you. This is what I get.
Get him! Stabbed him with his last little bits.
I had you built. I sent you topside. I called you back, showed you what you was capable of. Even that life you thought you had, that was something I dreamed up and had tattooed inside your head.
So, Frank, what was I doing for like the last 15 years?
I know what it is. And now,
Yeah, you forgot about the little sisters. I've desluggified them. Suck it, Frank. Rapture's on my team now. Get them! Get them, little sisters! Oh my god! Vicious! Get his at him! Good girls. Good job. Ugh, these children need therapy. Or at least a less drippy place to live.
They offered you this city. And you refused it. And what did you do instead? What I've come to expect of you.
Yay!
You saved them.
The good ending.
You gave them the one thing that was stolen from them.
Release the Golem children upon the planet.
Chance. A chance to learn.
They got a college degree.
To find love.
And they get married.
To live.
And have little ones. Aw.
And in the end, what was your reward? You never said. But I think I know.
They all got married?
A family.
Alright, nice. That was BioShock. My goodness, what a wonderful game. It's been so long since I had played it. Oh, it was so wonderful. That was really nice. Alright, let's go check out the director's commentary. looks like I missed some of them.
Hey, I'm Jeff Keighley here in Boston.
Hi,
We go
Jeff.
behind the scenes to hear some untold stories about the making of BioShock with Ken Levine and Sean Robertson.
Sean Robertson. Let's see what this is all about. We have been discovering this the whole time we were playing. Now it's time to get into it. Making Rapture real.
Let's talk a bit about the theme and setting of BioShock Rapture. I think a lot of people, when they played the game for the first time, Ken, they wondered, how did you even dream up this place? And I know you've said publicly before that part of the reason you sort of, what led you to Rapture was this idea of fully simulating a place. Tell us about that sort of idea and the frustrations you had with other games where you sort of hit a bound.
I think our philosophy was always to do what we were doing 100% rather than try to do something bigger and do it 50% or 40%. So one of the ideas of, and this sort of came from System Shock 2 as well, where you focus on an area that you can really bring to life and you kind of eliminate the questions of, well, why can't I go over the bridge to New Jersey? So we were able to really make a place, I think, that felt believable and real, even though in actuality it was really quite limited. But we just sort of dressed it with all these buildings outside that were all, were all basically glorified.
Yeah, BioShock is a very linear game.
What we needed to show rather than some kind of like predetermined map which we set down, which is a little different than like System Shock 2, where we actually mapped a spaceship out deck by deck.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what the philosophy felt a little different there, because you want to feel like a real spaceship that was sort of stacked on top of each other. Rapture was free to sprawl across the ocean floor.
Although you guys originally, Sean, were talking about doing this game on a sort of spaceship again, right?
Yeah, when we first started talking about...
Now, if they would have done BioShock 3 on a spaceship, that would have made perfect sense.
Spaceship came up,
that would have been
but
100%
again,
cool.
We wanted a limited environment, and we didn't necessarily want to do spaceship again. And our first actual exploration of this space was underwater, but ultimately ended up looking like a spaceship. It just happened to have a couple of seaweed fronds outside. And that started to push us towards what artistic statement that we wanted to make this look different, and what rules we were going to set for the world. How at every turn we were going to try to...
I love how cramped BioShock feels.
Back underwater, and that this wasn't a spaceship.
And how, like, underwater, we obviously know you did underwater, then sitting in the sky, like, where did you come with the idea of, like, doing this underwater?
I think there was probably a conversation. It's like, well, what kind of places could be cut off from other places? Yeah. Like, well, spaceship, summer camp, any island notion, right? Something that's cut off from the rest of the world.
So you have a self-contained story.
You should be able to go over that bridge to New Jersey.
I don't want to apply some deep and meaningful conversation. I think it was one of those ideas that you just kind of say, and then everybody's, that sounds cool. Let's try that. Let's go for it.
I like how they have the shadows of the little sister on the right and then the big sister on the left. That's cool. That's a fun little blocking that they decided to do.
Standards, we still were a small team back then. And there's an expectation that because you're underwater, the view distances are going to be short, so you can really kind of fade out into the fog at a short distance and not have the expectation that, why can't I see forever? So there's a lot of limitations
because you're underwater,
that we put on ourselves by being underwater, as opposed to, like, if you're on a cruise ship, then you'd expect to see across the water, and we'd have to deal with that. Same thing with an island.
Or
and
a city in the sky.
Exactly.
Which was a lot more complicated,
So you came up with the idea of, let's do this
underwater. They went, we made BioShock underwater because it was the easiest place to make it. I love that. Why don't more places make, like, underwater locations then? That'd be kind of entertaining. I'd fight in more places like BioShock.
We wanted a very believable reason why they'd be there. And sort of the necessary isolation of the place sort of led to, well, what kind of person would want to do this? And
Andrew Ryan, a psychopath, playing golf while the empire he built around him crumbles to dust.
By Ayn Rand, and I mostly thought it was an interesting story. Like, I didn't realize that people were sort of basing their sort of political lives around it, because I wasn't that tuned in to that stuff at that point. And so, but I love the dialogue and the kind of speechifying in it, because you can see a video game character speaking with that kind of certainty and that kind of confident philosophy. It just seemed like a natural kind of thing to apply to this place, and so it just sort of all came together as a sort of who is the guy who would do this? Well, you know, that character. He was sort of this amalgamation of characters.
Amalgamation. What a fun word that is.
Himself.
Andrew Ryan, if anything, Frank Fontaine at the end was the amalgamation.
The only way to do this is to
the fire or the cold and then the electricity. And he was defeated by bugs. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Dad.
Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow, it belongs to everyone.
We knew from a technical standpoint that we wanted isolation. We also knew to sell it, we needed a compelling storyline, a backstory that why would this place exist? Otherwise, how are we going to make Rapture feel like it's lived in if we don't have the reason for it to be there? So once we decided on the underwater location and then the closed off spaces, that objectivist story kind of came in and made the art stronger and made the level design stronger because we could feed.
So it really sounds like everything built on the understanding that they needed to be an isolated underwater location, and from there they built the political ideology, and then from there they built the character ideologies.
That was the pitch you make to people, which was, you know, there's a place that you can be free of all these things, where you can not be sort of put upon by the government and not be afraid of nuclear war and not be afraid of all these other things that will plague you on
the enticement for lack of fear can get people to do way more for their harm than it would for their health.
By the time you got there, you'd be like, well, this place is just fantasy. Nobody would ever come here. And that the beauty of the place also was also tied into that. It had to be a very attractive proposition, or people who would believe that people would go leave their lives and go to the bottom of the ocean.
I'm sure in some ways you had to convince the team and enroll them in your sort of vision of, you know, who this character was going to be and what the setting was going to be. How did that work, Sean? I mean, did Ken come in and say, hey, I've been reading these books, and I think we could sort of...
I believe he just came in one day on a horse and said...
On a horse?
Everybody read The Fountainhead.
Exactly. I bought 30 copies of it.
Yeah, I think, you know...
Here's a 2,000-page book or something. Yeah. Go read it.
I mean, it really is more organic. You know, like I said, we knew that we had this location, and you struggle to fill it with stories, and you struggle to find meaning of why does this place exist? You know, what's my motivation? And as Ken started to explore,
kind of fascinating that they started with BioShock, with Rapture, with not really a good understanding of what they were going to do, and then they kind of just built it around itself. Kind of like how it scrawls and sprawls across the ocean.
And if we had flipped it and come up with the idea first before the location, I don't think we would have really been that excited about it. But we had a location, and now we're trying to fill it with that story, and because of the order of operation there, you start to get excited, like, oh, I could totally make this work. This is going to really make it feel like a lived-in space.
You know, BioShock does feel like a lived-in space. It now feels like a more of a dead space after I got done with it, you know, with the stacks of bodies we left behind. But until then, it was popping.
And seeing the visual. So I told this story before, but my wife and I were in New York, and we went to Rockefeller Center, which was, if you go to Rockefeller Center, it basically looks exactly like Rapture. It's because every building, you're sort of encircled. It's this block in New York, or a couple of blocks in New York, where Radio City Music Hall is, and where 30 Rockefeller Plazas, where you see that show 30 Rock, and the ice skating rink, and where they put the Christmas tree, and it's this very iconic location. But what's cool about it, it's all one, unlike the rest of the city. Everywhere you look, it's one architectural style. It's Art Deco. And it's very iconic Art Deco. And my wife and I were there, and we were sort of working on the game, and we didn't have a visual style. And all of a sudden, I started looking around, and I said, oh, this could be a visual for the game. Also, the geometry of it was actually quite conducive to making a video game, because it wasn't overly complicated geometry. Art Deco is quite
bold and simple.
Bold and geometric, yeah, and simple. And so my wife and I bought a couple of tourist cameras before iPhone cameras, exactly. You know.
Throwaway cameras,
yeah, throwaway cameras, those little Kodak things, and we just started photographing doorknobs and light fixtures.
Imagine seeing somebody in Rockefeller Square, and you're just walking around, you just see them taking pictures of doorknobs and taking pictures of the sides of buildings, and a couple of years later you're playing BioShock, and all of a sudden you're like, I recognize that doorbell. I recognize those skylines.
Not be bound by petty morality. where the great
Scientists should always be bound by morality. When they're not bound by morality, horrors become commonplace. Science without the direction of ethics is bad.
So you had kind of a theme, you came up with an art style, some of the iconic characters, and then, you really had to build the narrative around it. And you've talked about, a lot of the themes in the game, and, greed, jealousy, sex, violence, all the things that sort of, drive us or what destroy us. And that was something I think that, as you thought about the story of the game, you wanted to, I'm sure, reflect some of those, right? Because I think people love the characters. It's sort of flawed in a way, and this is a world which is its own little microcosm.
Go get a snack.
Had a lot of tension.
I feel like we're watching a movie. It's snack time.
Yeah, I mean, the character of Ryan was sort of, he's basically invisible through most of the game, right? Except for a very small portion. But he's very present because he exists, the city is him, right? It's such a representation of him. We never want to cut away to a cutscene where you saw Andrew Ryan, planning and scheming. We wanted him to be very present without actually being present. But once you had Ryan, once you had his desire to protect this vision of his, you just had to then come up with the characters who'd be arrayed in opposition to him. So we had this character, the Big Daddy, and then eventually the character of the Little Sister. And so characters like Tenenbaum came along, like, here's a person who's in opposition to him for this reason. And then you have, for more noble reasons. And then you have a character like Atlas, who's much more cynical opposition. Once we had all those characters arrayed, we're like, well, who are you? And, you ended up being a sort of, a pawn in the middle of all this opposition to Ryan. We just kept sort of homing in on that theme and making sure that you weren't, eventually figuring out that you couldn't just be here by an accident, that you're an integral part of this story, even though you don't know you're an integral part of this story. You think you're just there by happenstance.
Look, Mr. Bubbles, it's an angel. I can see light coming from his belly. Wait a minute, he's still breathing. It's all right. I know he'll be an angel soon.
Oh no. It probably ended as soon as I walked away, didn't it?
One of the biggest challenges Irrational faced when developing BioShock was figuring out a way to retain the feeling of a deep RPG while making the game accessible to a broader console audience. Ultimately, the team succeeded in creating an intricate system of weapon and character upgrades that gave the player choice and customization while keeping the gameplay fast, lean, and engaging.
The deep shooter.
One of the hallmarks of BioShock, to me at least, was that it really blended RPG and sort of first-person action game together in a way that, is sort of standard today, but a decade ago was really pretty revolutionary. And I know for the team, I think at some point it became clear that you wanted this to work on consoles, not on PC, right?
Well, both, yeah.
Yeah. But so the idea of, doing a console game and a PC game, and doing something that sort of felt like a shooter but had much more depth. And I know in some of the early design docs you talked about sort of creating an FPS plus versus an RPG light.
Don't you love like little Lunchables? They just make your heart happy.
The big difference between System Shock and BioShock ended up being that System Shock was more about your character growth and BioShock was more about the environment. Because with System Shock, we really didn't have System Shock 2. We didn't really have either the art team to make enough assets or the visual power to sort of make a really convincing environment. But as we started working on BioShock, the art team was so strong that the ability to tell a story within the environment became the most important thing about the game. That was
now imagine BioShock, but with the Nemesis system from
but as we started building things,
Shadow of War,
the visual world was the star.
And Shadow of Mordor
is really the star of this thing.
Now that would be really
fun. Telling the story outside of cutscenes, telling it in the world, so the gamer could discover the story rather than us telling him the story, telling him or her the story. And it was still very much for the time. I think for the time, quite different than what you had seen in terms of there wasn't a lot of growth in shooters. So it was still, I think, for the time, very, very revolutionary. But I think System Shock 2 was even more ahead of its time in terms of that growth thing, because we defocused a little bit. Primarily, part of it was just figuring out how to do that all on a console controller was very tricky.
No, I remember even
Just
the early demos,
scream.
like, you see a positive, like a upgraded weapon, people are like, oh, I've never seen that before in a shooter. And that was, when you were coming out of the sort of, the Quake, Doom, Half-Life, where it's like you have, 8 weapons on the keyboard, and you sort of knew what they were, and they weren't going to change. Yeah. Sean, was that something that, from a sort of creative standpoint, was it always clear that that was something you guys wanted to do, or it evolved over time because you wanted to have more depth in the game?
I mean, it certainly evolved over time, and each upgrade path was slightly had its own unique challenges. Like certainly upgrading the weapons, you had to design a base weapon that didn't feel like crap. Still felt like something that you wanted to use, but then the ability to add the upgrades to.
I like the crossbow a lot. The crossbow was really good.
Order, so you have to be aware that this, parts A, B, and C could come in at any different time to upgrade the weapon. In a first-person shooter, that's your star. That's the thing that you're seeing all the time. When it comes to other things, plasmids, things that are,
Tonics.
Tonics, yes, sorry. It's been a while.
Come on, Sean.
I know, it's 10 years. Those things were more offloaded to machines that you would then have to interact with, so you're not carrying the inventory around with you. But each of these decisions on how we're going to upgrade the player, it wasn't like a mouse and keyboard. Okay, we can just use the mouse, and you have all these buttons at your disposal.
You could arbitrarily point at a part of the screen really easily, which you could do in System Shock 2.
Yeah, so we certainly learned trial by fire when we were trying to adapt these things to the console at the time.
Yeah, and like having different ammo types and stuff like that. Like we went through numerous iterations of the interface to make it. Like we had the first times we sort of put the interface.
What Big Daddy is that?
It was very obtuse and very tricky to get.
I never saw that type of Big Daddy.
Working on it and working.
Look at his hands.
Because you want to feel like second nature, but that was we spent a lot of time on that.
What motivated the idea of having so much choice in the way you could sort of play through this game? What was it to give the player a better sense of authorship over the experience, or what was driving that?
I've always liked the idea of giving the player a lot of agency in terms of their play style and experimenting with the play style and trying different things and seeing what worked and didn't work and interacting with the environment. The notion that it's sort of a playground that you get to play around with and imprint your own desire on was great, because I think we were more skeptical about being able to do that with story at the time. In fact, so much to the point where that became almost like a joke. That becomes the meta joke of the game of how little agency you have in your story. But agency in terms of how you play the experience and how you load out your weapons and how you interact with the environment, as compared to most shooters at the time, where basically like you can shoot them with the shotgun or shoot them with the the pistol. That was really important to us. So we spent a lot of time trying to make the world react in a way that you would expect and hope it to react when you tried something.
Right. And some of those system or decisions we made about systems fed back into the narrative, like locking Adam behind Big Daddy and the little sister. Like you can't get Adam unless you deal with the Big Daddy, which then becomes a roving boss fight, which then becomes another.
Oh, and the Big Daddies are nothing to joke around with.
I don't know if we
Those things smeared me, smashed me, and threw me against the wall so many times.
The decision that we made about putting Adam behind the Big Daddy totally works, because now we have a different type of boss fight that you hadn't really seen in other games.
Actually, it was the other way, because what happened was originally there was no concept of Adam, and Big Daddies just had money and other treasure on them, like every other splicer. Yeah. And they were so tough, nobody would ever fight them, because why on earth would you go after that guy?
Right, go off a bunch of small splicers and get the same amount,
So we had to come up with a currency that was exclusive to them, because we knew that was where the fun was, right? But we also knew people were terrified of them, and we didn't want to fight them. Yeah. So
no, you know what? If I didn't have to fight every Big Daddy, I wouldn't have.
In economics, you try to encourage certain behaviors through tax, usually through tax policy. Well, you want business growth, so you lower taxes on certain segments of the business economy, or you want to encourage people to move into this area, so you make incentives to move in here. We had to make an incentive for players to fight the Big Daddy, and Adam became that incentive. And then once you had this Adam, then you had a new piece of narrative, which they can then incorporate back into the story.
With Tenenbaum and all that, which I honestly think the Tenenbaum story is the most intriguing. I also think Tenenbaum should be tried and thrown in front of the World Court for her type of sins and broken laws that she made.
Talk a bit about the
yeah, she's protective mother, all that stuff. She also did experiment on little girls
approach to, I guess,
and put slugs inside them. Like, let's not forget that.
You know, used to strategy games,
She is the slug mommy.
Ways of how you would upgrade things. I thought you guys did a really you had a really interesting approach to how you made it very accessible to a console audience. How did that evolve? Did you know the vending machines were going to be there from the get-go?
Well, we had vending machines in System Shock 2, so we were sort of lifting that, and I always thought that was a fun. It was a fun notion because it's a affordance that people already understand.
Come back when you get some money, honey.
Vending machine, they know, that's why I buy stuff, right? Yeah. And you also then have to have a shopkeep. When we talked about wanting to make things, put limitations on ourselves so things felt fully believable. Yeah. If we had a shopkeeper sitting there, you can't shoot him. He sits there, he doesn't say anything. Right. And all of a sudden he feels fake. Where a vending machine, the Circus of Values machine, can feel 100% authentic. Right. You know, despite the fact that it's selling like ammo and stuff like that, you know, which is.
But in an objectivist society where you don't have rules and regulations on that type of thing.
All of a sudden, having a vending machine that gives you 9 mil,
but you don't
that's normal. If in fact it's expected.
Don't really live and breathe in
the libertarian dream.
Machines became an important part of that, but we still want to give them character, and hence the and so. That clown image came from a piece of, that image is actually from like a fruit container or something from like the 1940s. Okay. And so we had a book of like royalty-free images, and I saw that image, and I'm like, let's put that clown on it, and we'll call it Circus of Values. And then, we wrote some lines for it, decided he'd be this sort of asshole clown.
Asshole clown's a good one.
Then we hired the best actor in the world to play that part. That was me. My biggest Avengers, I didn't cost anything.
I didn't know you were really.
I was a clown. Yeah, I was a clown.
I did not know that the creator was the voice of the Circus of Value.
Hates that voice.
You can give us a little of it right here.
Welcome to the Circus of Values. She does not allow me to do that, so I'll do it outside of the house. Okay. But it allowed.
That wasn't that good.
It allowed us to have something that felt.
That didn't really sound like the Circus of Value clown. Ha 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 ha.
And also, the plasmids and sort of the motif of sort of the videos and how you explain sort of what a plasmid was. That was a really fun way, I thought, to sort of explain that. Sean, how did you guys evolve that? Because it was a very artistic approach.
I think those came on pretty late too, because we were developing all these systems, and you make the assumptions because you're dealing with them every day that the player who gets this game is going to understand what these systems are. And
internalize knowledge versus explain knowledge.
Game where you can't expect somebody to have a README file for all of these things. Nobody's understanding what these plasmids are or how to use them. How do we present these to the audience in such a way that they're going to understand what it is fictionally and what it is functionally? Because Rob Waters did a lot of the animation.
The bees were so fun.
Sit down and we, write out like a little 30-second commercial of what this thing is. And again, because going back to the narrative, this is what would happen in Rapture. People are trying to sell these things, so they would come up with commercials to explain why you need this. Using that as your framework, you can then come up with all of these little gags that people will remember that have a little personality to them. But I think ultimately in the end weren't that expensive to create because they're cheap.
I think that one of the most important things about it is we didn't want them to be long, and we didn't have a lot of budget for the arts. We have like a couple of frames of animation in them essentially. And so we had to figure out how do we message how this thing works in like that. And that's what marketing is, right? It's how do you message how something works. And marketing and tutorializing are very similar things, right? You're trying to get a message across in a very brief period of time in a very snappy fashion.
What's your favorite plasmid? I think my favorite plasmid at the end there was the bees. Second favorite has to be the lightning, for sure.
You go into a scene and there's like a shooting range or something like that, and
narratively they never really make sense either,
and they're so boring. And so we always try to put a big burden on ourselves of how do we train people while not letting them know they're being trained, and brevity is really important to that. So we had a bunch of art constraints on that, which also led to a bunch of writing constraints, and so those things were like I don't even know if they were 30 seconds.
Yeah,
they were
like
really short.
seconds.
Yeah, like 15 seconds long. We had to explain a whole plasmid in that period of time, and I think that was a good exercise because it also made the game. It forced us to be concise and to really explain.
And consistent. Like the way they described the information was very consistent every time.
You can even catch grenades and throw them back.
Nice. Shoot him while he's down. Hell yeah. Ooh, that was a good one.
Rapture is filled corner to corner with detail and history, and the cast of characters that occupy this world
The children!
are no less dynamic.
The
Every
children!
splicer, every level boss has a story. In many ways, these characters are a reflection of their environment, and their environment a reflection of their character.
The Lighthouse. Community Theater. What a messed up section that is.
Characters in BioShock, there's so many that fans love, and there are many Wikia pages about them. You know, one thing that I think a lot of fans may not realize is you were telling stories with these characters, you know, a decade ago. And technology today, as we saw in, you know, a game like Infinite, you can do amazing things with facial expressions and storytelling. Conveying that emotion that you did 10 years ago with limited technology was challenging. How hard was it back in the day to sort of, you know, convey story in engine?
We had such a small team that, you know, we had to show Tenenbaum or Atlas. They were just splicer models, right?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Tenenbaum was Ladysmith, which is there's a reason that she's in shadow behind glass, and it's not to be dramatic. It's because we couldn't afford to build another.
Really?
Yeah.
So just something as simple as that, like you couldn't afford to build a
We
model.
didn't have the we
didn't have the,
we had a few character models in the game. There's what, maybe 8 or 9 character models.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're
That's
like,
awesome.
Oh, put her in silhouette behind a light, and people think it's noir.
And so much of it was driven
And it
by
was. I mean, the way it worked was very noir. If I would have seen her face, I would have just seen a normal splicer. I would have freaked out. But
And the fact that I could write
looks
the
like she's
stuff,
doing fine.
direct it, and then rewrite in the room, and the fact that we had actors who were, for whatever reason, you know, I wasn't even in the same room as them. I was on a speakerphone.
Right.
They were in a studio in New York or LA or something. I don't think I met any of them.
Really? None of the actors in BioShock you ever met in person when you were making the game?
Maybe since, but at the time I hadn't met a single one of them.
That's impressive. That's actually scary.
The Vavis thing. Nate Wells played the Jack on the plane. You know, a couple of people in the studio. It was community theater. You know, in terms of the tech and the sort of time we had for it, but the actors were. You know, we had some exceptional actors.
I will say, as you know, doing animation on that game, that you can hide bad animation behind really good audio, and it makes the animation look better. We didn't have a tech animator. It was me. I'd never rigged characters before, and now I'm rigging characters, trying to figure out how, you know, to get all these characters out to the animation team. So we're very limited when it came to animation tools.
Yeah,
Since
but
apologize to my animators.
No, but you did the big. I mean, for your first game that you rigged the Big Daddy, which is you know, it's not an easy character to rig.
It was, you know, we figured it out. But
what does rigging
the tools that we
mean?
had on Infinite were not the
Does that
tools
mean
that
like
we had on BioShock.
picking all the points of movement, articulation, and moving them like step by step? Is that what rigging is?
Kind of, you know, put into the dark.
Because I'm thinking like a fish rigging or like a net rigging.
Voice actors of that caliber that can bring those characters to life. You tend to
the audio in BioShock is definitely a huge selling point for it.
Sent you, the KGB wolf with a CIA general. Here's the news. Rapture isn't some sunken ship for you to plunder. And Andrew Ryan isn't the giddy socialite who can be slapped around by government mob.
And you did get to revisit Rapture in the DLC for Infinite, and you know, with today's technology or technology from a few years ago, I'm sure it was liberating for you guys in some ways to be able to use that tech to bring the environment and also characters to life. What was that experience like for you guys to go back and sort of revisit Rapture?
Revisit Rapture.
But we also, I think, when we started, thought we'd be able to go reuse some of the old assets, and they just didn't hold up anymore compared to the Infinite assets. So we basically had to rebuild, not just rebuild everything from scratch, we had to reimagine it from scratch because, you know, we had the ability to make it look grander and bigger, but still feel like exactly like Rapture. Is a different kind of, we're making a different kind of experience than BioShock 1, so it was tricky to make it.
I would love if they made a fourth BioShock. Or they just continued the BioShock series at all. Because BioShock Infinite, I haven't played it, but the consensus from the community is that it is not the best. That it shouldn't have been a BioShock game. I'll still play it. I own it. So I'm going to go through BioShock 2 next. And then we'll go through BioShock 3. But I would have preferred BioShock 3 to still be BioShock, still be Rapture, not just Infinite.
Her heroism be something that set the events of BioShock into motion, which eventually, saves all of the little sisters. That was really gratifying, a nice way to tie the whole thing up for me.
And you probably didn't have that idea 10 years ago, right? You had to retrofit it off.
I have no idea.
He has a letter that he's addressed to himself that's 10 years old. But, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, for me, it was a nice way for me to say goodbye to BioShock and BioShock Infinite, because, those two worlds together, you don't realize, or I don't think the audience realizes how much time you spend with these characters trying to get them out and polished and into the world. And it was a good opportunity, I think, as a game developer to kind of have that little coda at the end where you're like, okay, I get to, now I'm ready to move on to the next thing. I've had a nice, break, like, let's seal this off, and now I'm on to the next thing.
And it was like 12 years of our lives, too. Between the very beginning of it, and it was a long time.
Well, I mean, so my daughter, who is 16 now, I did a lot of filming of her when she was 6 as a little sister.
Wow. She was the little sister Mocop?
Just running around the office.
That's crazy.
And I'm like trying to be
your kid runs like a frickin' golem.
Over the thing and pretend you die. Or trying to not traumatize a 6-year-old. Yeah, pretend you're drinking something, and and I never showed her the actual game until much later. But she on BSI, I put her in a mocap suit and actually used her for the little sister in Paris.
Thank you, Suchance. How you doing?
Kind of for me like a nice
way to connect it all together. Were there any characters on the original game that you found hardest to write? I mean, you mentioned recasting Atlas, things like that, but was there a character that was the most challenging for you, Ken?
Well, Atlas, because he was basically written completely twice. That was very, very tough, and I was very happy about the original character, and I thought I'd really done something great, and then you showed it to people, and they just hated it.
They hated it.
And if they didn't trust him, we were screwed. And so it was tough, because we, after having gone through all the recordings, actually, I had to let the actor go. It's no fault of his own, right? It was on us. He had invested in it, tell him that it wasn't going to happen, and rewrite it from scratch. That was hard, and that was tough. And then after I finished it, I had a debate with somebody on the team who felt the accent was really, really phony. And we had an English person on the team, and he felt the accent was really phony. So at the last minute, we basically ended up doing a focus test in Ireland to see if people bought the accent. Because the actor playing Atlas was Irish, but he was from a different part of Ireland, so he was playing a different kind of Irish accent. I don't think he was from Dublin, and Atlas sort of had a Dublin accent. And so at the last minute, I thought I was going to have to do it again.
Oh, wow.
A triple cut?
And people loved it.
I don't know how you survived that plane crash, but I've never been one to question Providence. I'm Atlas, and I aim to keep you alive.
And a lot of the villains in the game felt like they were, very much tied to certain levels, and this was, you were still in an environment of levels with BioShock, right? It wasn't just a big open world. Did that all sort of get designed together? It's like, here's the best villain that's going to fit to this environment and this theme of, this area?
Some of them work better than others. I mean, I think obviously Steinman and especially Sandra Cohen, really. I think
Steinman was really good.
Level boss.
They are levels.
They are the levels, and some of the characters didn't hold up as well, I don't think, on the writing side. The fun thing about the characters that work, like Simon, where he had all those little displays with the scissors and the tech, that was stuff the art team came up with to support that character. And obviously Sandra Cohen, in that level, I had this idea for this character.
The Sandra Cohen one was the craziest.
And taking Andrew Ryan's thinking to the extreme, through a lens of art, was really fun. They were really, in a lot of ways, they're more like Batman villains than they are.
Very Batman villainy.
Villains that they all
very much over the top, very extravagant. Very hold the world as a stage, and you're not gonna call curtains on me.
The crime is afterthought.
Right.
It's the philosophy. And so these characters have a lot in common with, and there's probably a lot of inspiration taken from sort of characters like the Joker in terms of a guy like any of the characters in BioShock, because they were really driven by their ideology, but their ideology is a mask for their sense of selves, right? You know, this stuff is really, Cohen knows he's a hack, and he doesn't want to, you know, he can't admit that to himself, so he has to wrap himself in all this nonsense, because the last thing he could ever do is look in the mirror and say, I'm not much of an artist.
No need to thank me for jamming the transmissions of those boors, Atlas and Ryan. Let them have their squabble. The artist, yes, the artist knows there is richer earth to till.
Sander Cohen was a hack.
Iconic and haunting, the Big Daddy and Little Sisters of BioShock immediately captivated the public's imagination. Big Daddy encounters defined the BioShock experience, creating new mechanics and techniques that had not been seen before in gaming.
Dude, the Big Daddies are hard. They run through ya. They absolutely destroy you at every chance that they can get. Rapture's denizens.
So Big Daddy, Little Sister, such an iconic moment or series of moments in this game. I'm fascinated about how that got layered in, because we talked a lot about the setting and the tone. That is still, to me, you know, a mechanic that I remember was very unique about, you know, choosing to engage the Big Daddy and being a fight that you know is going to be very aggressive and different than a, you know, traditional boss fight. I know you had an idea, Ken, of sort of 3 different types of AIs interacting in the same world.
Yeah, we were sort of like I was trying to think of like AIs you hadn't seen before, and this is still pretty early. Like 10 years ago, a lot's changed in 10 years. So like,
oh, a mountain has changed in 10 years. The amount of AI stuff that they could get away with now. Whoa.
You know, AI better at you.
ChatGPT, frickin' splicers.
Primal behaviors to think about. And I was watching a nature show one day. You know, these typical nature shows, and it's like observe the mother tiger taking care of her young. You know, one of those kind of things. And I realized that we don't even need a narrator on those shows. We understand certain behaviors just by looking at them. They're very primal, like somebody protecting their young, the predator-prey behavior. Those things were very, you don't need dialogue for that. And AIs at that point, we didn't have the ability to do a lot of sort of, you know, smart AI.
What a cool...
What if their behaviors are just very primal? And
Big Daddy that they have right there.
Aggro rules is something we knew we could model, right?
I like this Grinder Daddy that they have. Oh,
aggro on you.
That was a mistake.
Could they make a aggression display rather than just attack? And can another character appear afraid and hide behind the skirts of another character? And we started talking about these things, and the Big Daddy became very quickly, the actual form of the Big Daddy became very quickly as sort of this protector creature. The Little Sister was
gross.
Longer,
the Little Sisters are so nasty.
In a lot of ways.
Every time they're vile-looking creatures.
We're trying to work within our constraints of making...
And this is why we have to deslugify them, so that they can grow up and become doctors and get married. Yeah! Grind them up, Big Daddy.
That's the Big Daddy. She got it out of him. He keeps her safe.
And they shake the world around them. And it really gives them a weight to them. It really gives them impact in the universe.
Facing these things. And we had this entire system set up that completely simulated what would happen, and you'd play through the vertical slice and you walk into a room and everybody's dead because the system would work perfectly. And you weren't there to see the fight. Yeah.
And we track all the, they weren't called Little Sisters at the time, but we track how much they were harvesting, and it was all like a Command and Conquer level simulation.
Yeah.
And players didn't care or notice.
Yep.
And so we just abandoned all that stuff.
Yeah, so that took us a step towards, you know, how do we present this to the player, then how do we make the gatherers, which we called them at the time before Little Sister design came on, like how do we make them empathetic towards the player? How do we make the player want to engage with that? Because at the time they were just slugs.
Right.
So which is a
That's
horrible
right,
design.
Originally were slugs, right?
Yeah.
Not actually.
Which is a horrible design in so many ways because you don't care about slugs,
Right.
and they're
Yeah.
also on the ground, so you don't see
Yes,
them.
yeah.
They're not like at eye level, and they're dark. So
But you still have
yeah.
the trailer had like the same, or not the trailer, the demo or prototype we did. So it had the Big Daddy sort of like.
What a weird little
interacting with the
prototype.
slug.
How,
And-
slugs crawl around the Big Daddy? Or
no,
what?
it's this awful
That's a
little
level of
mesh.
sophistication, yeah.
It's like a little beetle, sort of.
Yeah,
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have cared way less about the little citizens if they were just slug beetles.
They didn't have a hand, so they could, there's no way.
Just horseshoe crabs are the worst
Fascinating
way.
is, like the little sister, it's like there's such humanity in it, which really you really connect with.
Which seems like
you would
a
think
smart
that would
thing
be
to go
the obvious
straight
thing.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not very smart.
The idea of sort of
We're not very smart.
choosing
Makes one of the
to
best video
engage
games
Big
ever.
Daddy. I mean, when I was first time I played the game, I mean that was always profound. It makes you sort of sit there and like, am I ready for this? Am I ready? And your choice to sort of like, you know, the kind of opposite of stealth, like when you want to be discovered. Was that always the mechanic with the Big Daddy?
Yeah, the idea was that they would have very particular rules about engaging with you that were entirely dependent on how you, the threat level towards, not them, towards their creature they were protecting.
Yeah, that was set. And then as you worked through it, I'm sure there were conversations about how difficult do we make these fights and sort of the balancing of that and even, you know...
Well, and how difficult the player makes the fights. Because if you go into a Big Daddy fight with no health points, you're getting tossed around.
The notion of Big Daddy and Little Sister many times before you actually are freed into an arena where you can actually fight them. You
Yeah.
see them
Sneaking out, pipes. Yeah.
You see them. You see them walking down a hall. You see the first time you see Little Sister, she's harvesting, and then you see the Big Daddy come and protect her. And we realized it was 4 or 5 sequences we had to do to set the stage for these characters. And look, we were hoping they'd be iconic and people would respond to the way they did, because we certainly spent energy on them with the expectation that they'd have an impact that we really just as easily could have turned out that nobody cared.
I think the actual very first time, and not a lot of people see it, there's a little sister in the vent in Kashmir restaurant that if you're looking in the right direction at the right time, you'll see her looking at you, and then she'll disappear into the vent. Yeah.
Oh, I saw that this playthrough. I saw that this playthrough.
But yeah.
You could go back and check the tapes. Yeah, save the little sisters. Yeah.
Cute.
The path of the righteous is not always easy.
The thing as you play through the game, you know, I think the moments with those sort of encounters certainly stand out to the player. For you guys, as you were developing it, was there a debate about how often to sort of have those encounters? Like, you know, like how many Big Daddies would there be? How would that play out? I mean, was that something that sort of changed as you?
No, I think we decided there would be 3. I think it was 3 per level.
So 3 and 2 in smaller levels. We did have a third Big Daddy that was mostly finished, but we couldn't make it fun. Like that.
Couldn't make it fun.
10% of an AI is always like, where's the like? How do you really make
They
it
put it
fun?
into I think they put it into BioShock 2, didn't they?
They might have, yeah.
They might have. I don't know.
But you know, it was fully rigged, fully animated, but we just didn't have the.
What one was it?
The time we needed to really polish it.
Because we got the
so
Rosie,
ended up shipping
the drill Big Daddy. Well, the Rosie's the
huge moment.
The like rivet gun Big Daddy. Then we have the drill Big Daddy.
The tension of that battle. When you showed that, did the entire game feel like that, or was that really more of just like a vertical slice?
It's so interesting seeing the different UIs that they used to have.
We wanted to feel like, because the Big Daddy was still had a lot of problems at that point, but we were confident we could do that. Like we wanted to make sure that was an experience we could deliver on. And there weren't. It was like it functioned.
Oh, that was cool.
Really weird things. Like it had this tendency at the time to, if you did the wrong thing, that it would turn into basically a super ball and start like a tiny little super ball. The Big Daddy would turn to a super ball and start bouncing or off the ceiling and walls like a million miles an hour. Do you remember why you did that, or what was going on?
I'm sure it was some physics bug that we were, yeah.
And so that actually happened. Sometimes we were doing the demo, and Joe Falstick, who was the guy running the demo with me in Barcelona, was very good at making sure that he turned away from
Right.
the Big Daddy. Like, oh yeah, I guess we killed the Big Daddy. He must be dying over there. But so there were all things.
Let's not look at this direction while the physics are absolutely flipping out.
On yet. It was really good for us because it sort of gave us some confidence that people would respond to.
That's that on that fly charisma type of stuff you got to have.
Biding your time and choosing your moment.
Well, it gave us confidence, but it also gave us a tool that the development team as a whole could gather around and say, we want to make it like this. Like, yes, a lot of elements in that demo were scripted, but they provided a framework for us to go back and how do we make that so it's not scripted? How do we make this robust enough so that the player can actually use these systems?
Yep.
So it was something that we could point to and say, you know, all right, how are we going to do this? Like, let's break it down and let's figure it out.
The Big Daddies just look so cool.
The game was done.
Like they were just, you know that they're just a giant mutated flesh mound underneath that suit, but still they protect their little sister. You feel for them.
But it was a big confidence boost for us because we thought it was the most important thing about the game, besides the world, was this sort of Big Daddy, Little Sister concept. And if people didn't care about it, it would have been a problem for us because we spent a lot of time on it.
Honestly, the Big Daddy fight's harder than the Fontaine fight, without a doubt. The Fontaine fight, you just really needed to be able to go left and right.
To kill, excuse me, to harvest or not to harvest, the moral dilemma that follows you throughout the BioShock experience and defines the fate of the player. This choice lays at the center of your BioShock story and has repercussions that can be felt in nearly every facet of the gameplay.
I always go with harvest. Leave those little sisters alone, because you get more at them overall if you save them. And you get free little plasmids.
BioShock's lasting legacy, of course, are the little sisters and this moral choice that presented itself to the player. You know, everyone became a water cooler conversation about, like, well, did you save them? Did you harvest them? That concept, Ken, was that something that came about early in development, or that binary choice? When did that come into the game?
I don't remember when. I mean, we had the concept of them being protected, but I can't remember when you
it
actually
certainly
chose.
wasn't. When there were slugs, it was not meaningful. I think there was.
Do you salt it? Do you not salt it?
There were resources that you could get, but there was no choice there, right? The choice was, do I want to fight the Big Daddy or not?
Yeah.
I think once we got into the realm of they have to be empathetic, the player has to have some feeling towards them, which you're not going to get from slugs, then we start seeing that opportunity there.
Well, imagine if they did a BioShock, like Dead Space crossover, and they have like the slugs back, and that's the little sisters. That'd be fun. Honestly, I'd just be down with more
I
BioShock.
think it's important that it was a way to reflect the sort of larger economic questions of a world like Rapture, where, like, you know, where the economy drives everything. Are there any limits to economic decision making versus moral decision making? Because that's sort of what the Randian notion is, that it's not the role that you don't sort of legislate morality. Let's try to take that to an extreme and see where that ends up. And Little Sisters sort of became that. And in this world, they became a commodity. And the question we have for the player is, are you willing, they're a commodity to you as well, potentially, or you want to participate in the commodification? There was, I think, a fair amount of nervousness internally at the publisher about it for a little while, but pretty quickly they were able to sort of say, look, we trust you guys, and go, do this. And I only had a few, the press, and this sort of happens over and over again, the games press worried a ton about it and wring their hands about it. They ever recognized it as
I could see a lot of the political downside of being like, what do you mean you can just kill a child?
To a larger purpose.
But they're a slug child.
Just sort of like, hey, this is the game where you kill children. And
whatever, and that was a sensitivity. I know that, like, you guys wanted to call them little sisters, not little girls, and it was and it wasn't, it wasn't killing them, it was harvesting them. And I mean, you did some things probably on purpose, right, to sort of explain that this, you weren't doing anything vicious to them, right?
Well, I mean, you are. You do.
I mean, you are.
They do sort of disappear out of you, and a big slug out of their belly, comes up that you. Well, we didn't want that to be graphic. We wanted to be very clear that you were. That wasn't
gruesome. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But it was not. It was not intended to be a prurient in terms of, hey, let's. This is a simulation of pulling a sea slug out of a little girl's belly. But we wanted you to understand that you were making a very diabolical moral economic pact there. And we think that came across, and I think it came across well enough. And I think the test.
I think it came across very well.
I think most people didn't really thought of it as am I willing to do this thing or not?
Right.
And people would tell us stories how like their girlfriend saw them harvesting, and then they literally slept on the couch that night.
Right.
Good.
And that's that's an interesting. That was interesting how people connected to a 3D mesh that's really no different than any other 3D mesh in the world. Like this little sister, she's not a person.
Yeah, but she's small and a child.
Asset, a virtual 3D asset, right? That has a voice actor connected to it who's an adult woman, and nobody was actually getting harmed, but people still emotionally connected to them and made an emotional connection.
And also, I think when you're playing, you don't really know what the impact of that choice is.
Yes.
And that's sort of the curiosity of like, you're a gamer, so it's like, am I going to game the system? Which one should I pick? How does this impact things as you go through the game? It's never really fully clear what that choice is going to lead to, right? And the ambiguousness of that was something you wanted to sort of create mystery around throughout the game?
Yeah, we went back and forth a lot about what the rewards for harvesting versus saving would be, and actually I think we should have really pushed further that the rewards for saving were much more, should have been much more meager than the rewards for harvesting, just to really sort of put you up against the wall, push you up against the wall and say, are you going to stick by your moral guns here? Because you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because that's usually the way life is, right? It's always harder to take a moral path than it is to take an amoral path. But
I don't know. I prefer taking the moral path here. That's for sure. Oh, weird. Is that their old animation for it? Slug.
As you play through the game, eventually you get to the ending, and as we know now, there were sort of two endings that were affected by that choice. And that was something at the time, I know you said publicly that you weren't in favor of sort of having two endings. Was that in part because, the game is about not having choice, or did you think that, the two endings were, I don't know, like, I'm interested for narratively, like, why you didn't want to go that path?
It seemed forced, given that the game really sort of almost made a joke, a meta commentary joke about the lack of agency in games. The lack of meaning of those choices.
Having a game all about lack of agency at the very end, showing that you have agency all along. I don't know. I think that's ironic. I think that's actually a very good touch to BioShock.
That's really what it's about. But
creatively, a better choice.
Didn't really have enough time to execute on those super well. I was pretty happy with how the happier one came out. With the sort of little sister focus. But it's a much more subtle story than I would have time to tell about your slow descent into moral chaos and dissolute living and all the things that sort of come along with a life that is sort of separate from a moral structure. It's a long story.
And that's what, you were just switching a cutscene. It wasn't like you were doing sort of a whole other level that was different or something. So the choice was
there's two cutscenes with very tight time and economic
or
constraints.
Just start a nuclear war.
Yes. And that's not,
you're a nice guy, or you start a nuclear war.
And because we had so many problems on our plate, that was something I had to sort of do in the spare time. So I was pretty happy with one, but not very happy with the other.
I know you had said publicly before that there was another sort of more ambiguous ending that you had originally planned, or what would you have done?
There was a notion of an ambiguous ending, which if I just wrote one, I would have found a way that would just talk about the moral ambiguity of the world rather than the sort of, positive or negative, because it is such a look. I think we really tried with BioShock not to sort of make a game about good and evil. Is really about.
I honestly think he failed then. I feel like BioShock is extremely about the morality of the individual faced against the construct of society that it's in. Right? Because isn't the morality of choice the capability to say yes or no to authority, to society, to the world at large? That is where your good or evil comes from. Because sometimes it's good to be disillusioned with society, and sometimes it's good to stand by the rule of law. Sometimes it's evil to be silent when you see injustice happening, and sometimes it's evil to speak out against those who have or are trying to achieve justice, right? Like that's what it's all about. That the fact that most often we don't see the options that we have in front of us. But that does not mean that the options don't exist.
More, you know, the game developer.
We have the
you know, what would happen, but certainly for the most part, I think most people, which I guess is a good.
We have the responsibility to try to uphold morality whenever possible, capable, or even when it's not, right? And the individual morality is not to say the right morality for everybody or everything. Depending on the situation, one moral setting will create an evil output, or one moral ideology will create a good output. But one way or another, I absolutely think that BioShock is a good output. Very good, very enjoyable, very amazing. What's the museum? Loading museum. Now the eggs are in the scramble. Ryan will be taking down Fontaine, or Fontaine will be taking down Ryan. Welcome to the Museum of Orphan Concepts, a guided tour of ideas that Irrational Games discarded or reworked heavily during the making of the original BioShock. Ooh. Look at these. Wow, these are nice. Irritation's initial name for the prototype Big Daddy variant, Slow Profum, who mauled players with an enormous hook and fired iron bearings from a barrel, stood for Slow Projectile Fucked Up Melee. He survived long enough to become a fully functional AI, but the team eventually cut him to focus on polishing the other Big Daddy types. This model later appeared in BioShock 2 as the Rumbler, throwing miniature turrets instead of cannonballs. Well, these boys look amazing. Look how cool. Absolutely stellar. What about this one? Early Bouncer, the original model for the bouncer type of Big Daddy, featured the flathead drill at the end of each arm. The Big Daddies were envisioned as the builders of Rapture, with weapons modified from tools they would have used in its construction. When the Gatherers were reimagined as Little Sisters, one of the Bouncer's drills was changed to a gloved hand, so the two characters could interact with each other. Oh, he had to hold hands. That's cute. Oh, look how chubby he is up here. Look at his little, like, thick little body he's got. Honestly, I think this is a cool design. They should have kept this design. This was pretty awesome. The other drill is pretty awesome as well, but still. Irrationalist artist tried to envision how an underwater city would actually function in the early conceptual work of Rapture. One idea imagined a thick forest for the purpose of oxygen exchange, seen here with an observation catwalk running along the edge. The concept of using trees for oxygen exchange made it into the final game with the Arcadia level. Sweet. Oh, these are the slugs. Oh, what a gross. Yeah, hey, I wouldn't have saved a single one of these. Oh my god, look at these. Would you look at these little sisters? I would not have saved these. The Gatherer. It may be hard to imagine that this creature, whose job it was to reclaim Adam from corpses around Rapture, was the earliest iteration of the idea behind the Little Sisters. Since the Gatherers generated absolutely no sympathy from players, the team experimented with concepts for featuring a number of animals, including the infamous dog in a wheelchair, and later a grotesque miniature humanoid. Finally, the concept sketch of a deformed child inspired the Eureka moment, responsible for the Little Sisters. A dog in a wheelchair? I never would have expected that. Gatherer sounds. Wow, there's so much stuff here. I love this. Whoa, look how this one is. Rifleman? Early Splicer concept art. Moving from the grotesque to human was a slow process. While early concepts saw the melee enemies grew monstrous arms, the team had trouble conveying how someone who had spliced to become a marksman would appear. So they just kind of had him set up with a gun and some tubes. This is like a halfway Big Daddy. The early Big Daddy concept art. These are early concepts for the Rosie type of the Big Daddy, who, like the Bouncer, was envisioned as a construction worker who had been repurposed as the protector for the Gatherers. Early Big Daddy concept art. These are the early concepts for the Rosie. blah, blah, blah. So these are how they looked at the very beginning. Very cool. What's this big boy? Oh, look at this big-ass mutant. I love him. Oh, these would have been so fun to fight. These are the early splicers. Stitchy. The first splicer that Irrational created for BioShock, Stitchy, was used in many early concept demos and was fully functional in-game with kinematics, hit reactions, and voiceover. It took us that long to realize that it wasn't a good model, says the lead artist Sean Robertson. This is probably the worst abortion that Irrational has ever made. Whoa. Dude, I love Stitchy. Justice for Stitchy. This thing looks awesome. I would fight him. I'd fight him any day. Dude, I like these. They definitely went with less dynamic models in that case, because the other splicers aren't super dynamic. These are some of the earliest first concept sketches to show BioShock's enemies moving in a more human-like direction. Artists coupled that approach with the idea that Adam deformed the body in a way that related to its intended function. For instance, a giant grotesque arm on a melee enemy. So this guy would be bapping the shit out of you and also has a pistol. Dude, I like these. And that's the, what is that, Adam that he's got around his chest? Maybe he's slurping some vapors. Yeah, I would have loved these. Before solidifying the function around Adam, Irrational experimented with the idea of it being an external injected substance. Here you can see us playing around with Adam being mechanically injected, said lead artist Sean Robertson. So this splicer got vials of its own on his belt. This model was created but never made into the game in any form. Dude, I think that they, you know what, it's good that they did this museum, because these are too good to just fully waste. Because look at this big boy's arm. Absolute chunkus. I don't like how it kind of drapes like a diaper belt for him right here. But, you know, he didn't make it into the game, so I'm sure they would have fixed that up a little bit. Wow, look at these giant deep sea. Ooh, hanging sea life. Not as much as cut concept as an Easter egg for the observant museum visitors. These sea creatures can be seen swimming past the player's view during the bathysphere rides down to Rapture in BioShock's opening sequence. And some of these are also in the walls, like the squid. They got their own little area. Oh, look at this big guy. Whoa. Dude, that guy's as big as the Big Daddies. This gray elephantine splicer was an early Grenadier. Oh my god, if the Grenadiers were this big. The same period of development as Stitchy and Hooker. He was a guy who was spliced to carry around giant grenades and throw them at you. Kind of like the Oglin from Warhammer 40k Darktide. As lead artist Sean Robertson, the model was built and textured but never animated. Honestly, a shame. And you can see they didn't reach all the textures either, because he's got some bandolier stuff that is just grayed out. Or maybe it's my graphic card issue, but those look just like blank black spots. Environmental study. The location depicted here was built for the version demo of BioShock, a small level demonstrating several of the key elements of the BioShock game, such as Big Daddies and Gatherers. Pretty. Very pretty. Oh, the floating reminds me of like oh, the zombie movie. Oh, with the redhead Eve. What was her name? Not Red Dead Redemption. Oh, I can't remember. Neptune's Bounty concept art. This area appears in the Neptune's Bounty level of BioShock, but the bodies floating in the ocean were cut late in development when their cast shadows proved too distracting from the action in the room. Aw, I would have liked the bodies being left there. Ooh, I bet this is the Hooker. Oh, look at the hips that they gave her. My goodness. Oh, and she has hooks in her arms and legs. Terrifying. The spider splicers is what these became. Created around the same time as Stitchy and the Grenadier, the Splicer was dubbed the Hooker because of her weapon of choice. This concept evolved into the Spider Splicers when it was decided that Splicer models could fill any behavior role, and that the Hooker model later became the Baby Jane Splicer. The Baby Jane Splicer? I've never heard that before. Baby Jane Splicer. Neat. Yo, these look awesome. Yo, Pinhead would be obsessed. Look at this thing. Resident Evil. Resident Evil is what I was thinking about for this. Oh, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yep, got it. Figured it out. Oh, look at these boys. Is this early Big Daddies? The Big Daddies, originally called Protectors, were envisioned as dive suit construction workers retasks with the defense of Atom Gatherers. They used construction tools to improve weapons that looked like they had been found on the sea floor. From left to right are early concepts for melee, ranged, and slow projectile protectors. So melee, ranged, and slow projectile. Oh, this one's got tendrils and tentacles on them? Oh, I would love to have seen the Big Daddies with mutations. That's crazy. Ooh, look how pretty this one is. This early concept depicting a Big Daddy bursting through a wall, which inspired the audio log in the Big Daddy training grounds about a rogue Big Daddy. The player then encountered him at the end of the level. Cool. Was this originally the bathyspheres? Sub-bay concept art. This is the concept sketch depicting what would later become the submarine bay, an area which housed an important scene for Atlas. I'd say. Dude, this guy looks so big. They really made the Splicers large and in charge in the earlier version. What's this one? Missing link model. This character is essentially the missing link between the grotesque early designs and the human splicers that appear in BioShock. This is the last bad model we did before moving on to what actually went into the shipping game. This, says the lead artist, Sean Robertson. After playing with him for a while, we just said, why don't we use humans instead? I always thought of these as Scooby-Doo monsters because they were too inhuman to invoke empathy. I don't know. I mean, it definitely would have been more monstrous. It would have been more like, oh, these guys are mutated and lost all of their humanity, because if people look different, people often lose empathy for them. I know it's a challenge of humanity itself. It's a problem, but these guys look so cool. I would not have been opposed to having him in game, and all the other ones, honestly. These are pretty, oh, that looks fucking cool. Oh, that one looks the coolest so far. What are these? Oh, this game could have been so much more BioShocky. Slime from Slug, not BioShocky, Dead Spacey. Blood on inside of glass ports, tarnished brass. Early Big Daddy concept art. This was the fourth Protector concept, originally created with an organic slug attached to it. A model was started but never completed as the team narrowed their focus to 3 and finally just 2 Big Daddy types. I still liked this as a Protector, says the artist Rob Waters. We started modeling and I really pushed to get it in, even as just a static model on the floor, but it never made it. Aw, sad. Honestly, that's really cool. Then you could have seen the Gatherers in game, like outside of the Little Sisters, like what happens if a Big Daddy gets a slug in it. These were some of the earliest pieces done for BioShock back from when International Game was still working on SWAT 4. The only concept idea at that point were an undersea city and a biological experimentation. So early concepts focused on those themes. Yo, we could have had such a different game. Oh, wow. Iconic Rapture concepts. This is one of the several paintings that tried to portray the most important elements of Rapture at once. These images would help define the ruined underwater Art Deco aesthetic that the team was attempting to capture. Dead guy, dead guy, dead guy, dripping. Yep, looks like BioShock to me. Dude, these are cool. These were some of the earliest pieces, blah, blah, SWAT 4. Yeah, look at these two. Could you imagine going around fighting like greatly mutated monsters just popping up out of everywhere, just coming slamming tendrils on you or hooks at you, and you're fighting? That would be way more a monster killer vibe rather than going through a city killing vibe. If I saw these in a city at all, just one of them, I'd consider that city gone. I'd consider that city overtaken. Look, let's look at this beautiful creature. Absolutely. Okay, this is clearly a melee grabber. Look at them dogs. Man's got gangrene because he got turned green. With the face mask of like a scarecrow from Batman. It's Batman, Scooby-Doo, terrifying villains. What's this guy? Yam Hand model. This character, diversively called Yam Hand around Irrational Games, was the poster child of the conceptual phase that preceded the design to go with human enemies. I'd point out the drawings behind the model, says lead artist Sean Robertson. You can see the top one got built, but the other two informed the design as well. As we tended towards more humanoids, the Scooby-Doo monsters got goofier and less scary. I would say that they are less scary. I wouldn't really say that these are goofy. I think these would be terrifying to fight. But it would take away the humanity of them. You would just assume that regardless that they're not people, even if they do speak. And if you do consume or assume that they are still humanoid people, conscious, living individuals, you consider that a fate worse than death itself. Skeleton. Let's look at this one. Oh, that's an Atlas statue. This was the first image that really captured the visual elements that made BioShock. A large view of the ocean, the aquatic lighting scenes, and the elegant Art Deco design elements. Without this image, BioShock would have been a radically different beast. Cool. I like all the fish. Atlas. There's the Art Deco over there. Very pretty. With the lions. Oh, this is for the art area. For the concept hall. Fleet Hall concept art. This early concept for Sanders Cohen's Fleet Hall was created after level building had began. When the designers found they were having difficulty conceptualizing the theater space, it was one of the earliest spaces built for BioShock, and many of the assets used in this museum come from that area. Sweet. All right, I think we've now looked at the whole museum. This was so cool. More games should have like a museum area with like the stuff that they decided to scrap. That's actually really neat. I've fully enjoyed this, especially these little gatherers, these little sluggy beetle gross things. Well, thank you so much, art team. Thank you so much, everybody who made BioShock. Very appreciated. That's awesome. Probably can't leave. Nope. Well, looks like they were able to protect this this museum without too much difficulty. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in, hanging out, having a good time. I really appreciate it. As always, the most important thing, the least important thing, and the last thing to say of any good stream is, in fact, end stream. Until next time, my friends. Until next time. Oh, would you kindly press the like button and leave a comment? Thank you. End stream.